Hello and welcome to Become the Teapot. I'm Ian.
And so am I. And this is a podcast where, under normal circumstances, we'd be comparing a film to the comics that inspired it. We won't be doing that this week, however, as this is our very special first anniversary episode.
So, if this is your first episode, where have you been for the last year? I recommend that you pause, go back and listen to our last 26 episodes. Yep, we'll wait.
24 hours later.
Right, now you're all caught up, let's continue.
To mark this, quite frankly, momentous occasion, we're going to be taking a look back over the show so far. We'll be discussing our favourite comics.
And films that we've covered in the last 12 months.
Then we'll be hosting our very own prestigious award ceremony.
Capping things off with a look at the year ahead.
So roll out the red carpet.
Pop on the kettle.
And join us as we become
The Teapot.
What, to you, makes a good adaptation?
2 words. James, and then gun.
And that's it.
That's
Just
it.
James Gunn.
That's it.
Okay.
No, well, to be fair, all the stuff that I've watched of his comic book properties have been good.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of comments here and there, but overall, if I hear that he's in charge of a comic book film, I think I will love it. But yeah, I mean, I think the properties of the film or the TV show, whatever it is, should be closely linked with the comic. I'm not saying it needs to follow the exact same story or plot,
Yeah.
but I feel like the characters should still have the intentions, or at least the same intentions as the creator portrayed them in the comic.
Right.
And then also, they shouldn't be afraid to take a chance and to change things, but for the better. Stupid clouds. But it works well if you work with the creator of the comic. You know, think such as Scott Pilgrim or Kick-Ass.
Or the old guard.
Well, yeah, all right. It doesn't always work, and there you go. But
No.
when the writer and the creator work on the film or closely with the film, I think that's an improvement, and not just some random person going, right, I'm going to make a comic book film about Spider-Man. Oh, he's got wings instead of webs. Oh, he's got this instead of that. I'm like, no, now you're just being a dick. You're just changing things for no point, you know.
Yeah.
Any comments on that? What do you think makes a good adaptation?
Well, so for you, a certain level of faithfulness is really what you think is what makes a good adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a question that I've been asked before is, what does Become the Teapot mean? And it's a good question because, well, it's honestly, it's a pretty stupid name for a podcast. It has nothing to do with the show. But it actually comes from a Bruce Lee quote, which goes like this. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless like water. Now put the water into a cup. It becomes the cup. You put the water into a bottle. It becomes the bottle. You put the water into a teapot. It becomes the teapot. Water can flow or crash. Be like water, my friend. Now, the eagle-eared listener amongst you may have noticed that Lee didn't once mention comic books or their adaptations, so what the hell has this got to do with this podcast? Well, the honest answer is not much. We just liked the name. But it does, in a roundabout sort of way, lead me back to the question on what makes a good adaptation. So, to me, a good adaptation is not about slavishly replicating the comic book. I've already read the comic book. I don't necessarily need to see it again on the screen. Watchmen, for instance. No, what's more important to me is that the film works in and of itself. So, if the source material is the water, then the film is the vessel.
Yep.
And that can be a cup, it can be a bottle, it can be a teapot. As long as it's not full of holes, as long as it functions for its intended purpose, then it doesn't matter if you didn't get all the water in, or you had to go and get water from elsewhere and put that in, or if you fundamentally change the water by pouring in some Ribena or something. I may have overextended this metaphor slightly, but the point is, it seems obvious. A good adaptation is a film or television program that is good.
Yeah.
The Shining is an excellent film. It's also one that diverges massively from the source material. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is a terrible film, but its problems don't stem from the fact that it's different from the comic book. Its problems stem from the fact that it's a generic piece of soulless shit. If the film doesn't work as a film first, then it doesn't matter how accurate it is.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Wow. Cool. No, it kind of feels that we've got two different perspectives there.
Yeah.
You said this before about I don't know which one it was, but we've done so many in the last year. When you become afraid to change things, you are literally just going, right, that's the book, that's the screen, done.
Yeah.
You need to change things, hopefully for the better. Sometimes things don't work, but I think if you do work closely with the original creator or the writer, something to inspire the change. It doesn't have to be the same, this happens in the book, that happens in the film.
Yeah.
But first of all, the actual creator of the film needs to be a fan of comics, I think, or at least know enough about the source material. That's why I said about James Gunn. He's come out and said that he reads comics all the time, and he went back and he read a bunch of the Suicide Squad stuff, and then he did that film, and then he did the same with Guardians. He's not just going, let's just make some money. I mean, that's a positive, I'm sure. But he spends time to investigate these characters and think, I didn't quite like that in the comics, so let's change it. And look at that, it works. Wow.
Sometimes.
Bar a couple exceptions.
Okay. Yeah, I think I get where you're coming from, and it's not having an aversion to change. But, for instance, we talked about Shang-Chi earlier in the episode, and that is very far removed from his comic book origins and comic book history.
I mean, I'll say yes, but you'd be surprised. I've not read it.
I mean, there was a huge amount of Iron Fist influence stuff in there, which is strange because I still just don't understand why they haven't made an Iron Fist adaptation at all.
I mean, it would make sense. They did Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and then just sort of stopped. I don't get it.
It doesn't make much sense. I am hoping the next Shang-Chi film is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Iron Fist, and I will
wet your pants,
cry my little fanboy heart